The tariff threat has caused a buy Canadian sentiment that appears to be gaining momentum. Some premiers have been pushing it, even the Prime Minister has encouraged it. But does it or can it have an impact? Rob Warren is an economist and professor at the University of North Dakota and a former Winnipegger and joins me now. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Brittany.
So Trump's continued tariff threats are seemingly triggering this real sense of nationalism here in Canada. So first off, do you think this is something the average consumer even thinks about?
You know, it's sad to say, but they probably don't. Most consumers, when they go out to buy products, what they think about is, what have I purchased in the past? I'm just going to stick with that, because something like 80% of all of our purchase decisions are based on habit or very low involvement thinking about what we're buying.
I would imagine people look more so at price than they look at where something is made. But we're seeing these lists circulating on social media that are giving people Canadian options they can buy versus American-made counterpoints, everything from milk, eggs, restaurant chains, clothing brands. Can this actually have an impact if people follow through on this?
Yeah, it really can. If enough consumers get behind this and start thinking about where they're spending the money and don't just focus strictly on price, they can have a huge impact on the sales and the profits of those particular products and firms. And that pain is going to get back to Washington, D.C. And hopefully that would change some of the policies that are being talked about right now.
Have we seen so-called boycotts actually work in the past? Where have we seen it be successful?
You know, where we've seen boycotts really be successful have been, unfortunately, most of the examples I've got are in the U.S., where products have been boycotted in either food or beverages. Take Bud Light, for example. There's your classic from just a couple years ago, where a lot of people decided, because of a stance Bud Light had taken or was perceived to have taken, that they were going to boycott the beer, and its sales dropped over 23% almost overnight because of it. And that's caused a variety of changes. One, Bud Light got away from that particular alleged policy they were thinking of. And two, it's resulted in Bud Light no longer being the #1 beer in the U.S.
So people can have an impact. So if this tariff comes in that Trump has promised, are there things the average person can do that will have an impact just them alone, or does it really need to be on a large scale?
Well, I think individually we've got power, but collectively is where the real power is going to come from. So it's, if just one consumer or like 10 consumers tries to do something, that's not going to have a big impact. But if every consumer in the province of Manitoba decides that instead of Florida-based orange juice, they're going to only purchase Brazilian-based orange juice, that's going to have a major impact on the Florida grower industry. And that information will get back to elected officials.
So people do have purchasing power. As an economist, how could these potential tariffs really impact our economy here in Canada?
Well, unfortunately, if the tariffs come in as they're stated, it's going to be a major impact for the Canadian economy, and particularly provinces like Manitoba, which are very, very export dependent to the U.S. One of the things you're going to see is, no doubt, a slippage of the economy towards some sort of recession, because growth will be cut as one of our major markets is suddenly dropping the amount of purchases it's making from us. I think you're going to see the dollar will decline even more. And I'll be honest with you, the dollar's in pretty rough shape right now. If it goes any lower, that's going to have a material impact on Canada's ability to buy other things internationally. And also, for anybody who wants to make a travel trip to the U.S., that's going to have a major impact as well. You might see some inflationary pressures, but I'm thinking it's going to be much more in terms of just the slowdown in production, which will lead to higher unemployment.
All right, all things that we're going to be watching. Rob, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Brittany.